You are listening to Catholic Family Podcast.
The Girdle of Self-Control. 49. Deny thyself. What remarkable words are those which St. Paul addressed to the Corinthians. I chastise my body and bring it into subjection, lest perhaps when I have preached to others, I myself should become a castaway. Thus we see that it is possible for a man who had converted entire nations to the Christian faith to lose his soul if he did not keep his body in strict subjection. This severity in regard to the body is to no one more necessary than to the young man. How is this? Behold, two rival hosts are opposed to one another in war. That one which, by superior courage and bravery, destroys the other, or puts it to flight, is the victor. In a similar manner do evil inclinations and sinful desire, which are opposed to the law of God, stir within the heart of the young man. If during the period of youth these inclinations and desires are resisted and overcome, that is to say, are not indulged and yielded to, then will the body itself gradually become less unruly and finally quite tame. But he, on the contrary, who permits himself to be carried away by sensual desires while he is young, will find it more difficult every year to resist them. In regard to this self-control and self-denial, lay to heart the words of the Redeemer. If any man will come after me, let him deny himself. Do not these words teach us, with no uncertain utterance, that without self-denial it is not possible to follow Christ? Or how can you imitate Jesus Christ, live in accordance with his teaching, and at the same time do that which flatters sensuality and is pleasing to the corrupt desires of the heart? Never can you do this, for here we may quote what Christ has said in another place. No man can serve two masters. To be zealous and faithful in the service of Jesus Christ, and at the same time to indulge the flesh and follow the pernicious maxims of the world, is sheer impossibility. It is equally impossible to turn to the east and at the same time to face the west. Do not therefore take alarm, my dear young friend, if I earnestly exhort you to learn how to practice self-denial and renunciation. Every one of those lawful pleasures, so dear to the young, shall be permitted you, but I only wish to keep far from you those which might do you harm, for I am full of affectionate solicitude for your welfare. Wherein are you to deny yourself? What are you to renounce? The answer is brief and sums thus. First of all, you are to renounce whatever is forbidden. You must refuse it and hold yourself entirely aloof from it. But among all those things which are forbidden, I will here make a brief mention of only three. Things which young people in the present day are most unwilling to renounce and deny themselves, but which forge, for the rising generation, iron fetters of the most degrading slavery, and indeed threaten to precipitate them into the yawning abyss of moral and material ruin. These three things are inordinate love of pleasure, the lust of the flesh, and covetousness or greed of money. Renounce them all. Renounce the love of pleasure. This is in a very special manner the plague of these times. Eating and drinking, pleasure trips, picnics, balls, concerts, and theaters. After such things does the greater number of young men in the present day yearn and strive. Everywhere we hear the piteous cry that young people no longer care to work, but only to enjoy themselves. And the plague of this inordinate love of pleasure no longer dwells in cities only, but spreads more and more in country districts, and even extends its ravage to remote villages. Do you, my friend, take heed while yet there is time. Beware of indulging this love of pleasure. Renounce, moreover, the lust of the flesh. If love of enjoyment wields the scepter, it is no marvel if other vices become more prevalent, if sins against holy purity are more frequently committed. The former is the cause of the latter. To this end, contribute also the universal hankering after luxury, instability of faith, immoral reading, indecent pictures, statues, and engravings, dread of work, idleness, and bad examples. Renounce, in the third place, the insatiable greed of money. This is closely connected with the love of pleasure, for he who is determined to enjoy himself, to indulge all his desires, must have money, must find a way of getting it in any manner whatsoever. Hence comes the striving and struggling, the longing and reaching after money and goods, which rules the mind, turning it away from God and divine things, and chaining it to the wretched dust of earth. Renounce it, conquer yourself. Do this at first in little things, for you know that he who desires to fit himself for military service must first participate in many minor maneuvers. The same principle applies to the spiritual warfare. Without continual conquest of self, without constant self-denial, no other virtue, no true happiness can be attained. The greater violence thou offerest to thyself, the greater progress thou wilt make, says the author of the Imitation. You must take upon yourself, day by day, the cross of self-denial, of renunciation, not only in order to live an upright life, but also in order to be happy. To conquer himself the Christian is bound, but what a difficult task this is found. The battle is long, the struggle is sore, the victor's guerdon is joy evermore.